Hello up, everyone. This is Charles Benoit for ReggaeSteadySka.com, your source worldwide for all things reggae, rocksteady, and ska. Today, we are talking with the author Lee Morris, the author of the just released book. I have right here, Two-Tone Before, During, and After, and it's out on Media House Books right now. Lee, welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure.
I got to tell you, I totally enjoying this book, as I was mentioning to you a moment ago. I've read so much on this topic that I didn't think there was going to be anything. I was going to get to, a refresher, and it's nice to hear the stories again. But on every page, you're teaching me something I didn't know about a subject I thought I knew better than my own life. There was amazing, cool connections between bands and between songs that I did not expect. Fabulous job. Why did you take on this project? It is a massive, although the book doesn't look very big, it is packed with information. What led you to take on this huge project?
Well, it all started a couple of years ago. I wrote my first book on the football team that I support, or soccer as they say in America. And what I did was I got every player that had played for us from day one to 2018 when I wrote the book. And I did like a Where Are They Now section on each player. There was like 800, 900 players. And that was the first one I did. And it went well. And a lot of people, it were quite a popular book at the time. And then I didn't really have any plans to do anything else. And there were loads of people saying, oh, why don't you do another one? And I was like, well, I don't really want to do another one. But then I thought, well, if I do another one, I'll have to do one on something that I'm interested in, because I'm not one of these people that can write about something I've got no interest in, because it's more like a job if you do that, rather than. I enjoyed writing the first one because it was my football team, and I enjoyed speaking to the people in the book and researching. So I thought, if I'm going to do another one, I'll have to do it on something that I enjoy. And obviously two-tone music is a big thing for me. So I thought I'll have a go.
Well, you had more than a go. You had more than a go. You had you really threw yourself into it, and it's interesting that you do come from your first book was heavily researched, and
you
had not as many people to research, but you had that same level of research in this book. How did you go about it? I mean, there's a ton of information, and you can't keep it all in your head. How did you lay it out? What was your process?
I just opened a document on the computer and just started writing. I just started getting everything down that I could think of, and I started to speak to people that were involved, some of the musicians, and I just got as much down as I could. And then it went from there, really. I just wanted to get as much research as I could. I bought all the old newspapers, magazines from the time, read the interviews. I had all the books anyway, so I'd read most of the books, but I read through them again and tried to get as much information out of them as I could. Just went through it like that, really.
Well, I'll tell you, you very impressive research methods. I'm a former history teacher myself and an author, but I can tell you just from the amount of research you did, I didn't do this much on the papers I wrote for universities. So, I was rather impressed. I'm sure you hear about it. You cover all the bands we expect you to hear, but you also bring up some bands. I mean, of course, the Specials, the Selector, the Beat, Bad Manners. But then you bring up other bands that were on the Two-Tone label that some people might find a little more surprising. I guess you'd have to be really more into it, or really have been into the scene to know the Swinging Cats or the Apollinaires or the Higsons, or the one that I was like, who? The Friday Club. I mean, talk about why you chose to expand it to include the less famous bands.
I've always been a bit of a completist. I like everything to be complete. Like with the first book, I did every single player because I didn't want to leave anything out. I like to have everything complete. And I've read all the books. All the books talk about, like you say, the Specials, the Beat, the Selector, Madness, but none of them ever talk about the other bands. And I saw a bit of a gap there, and I thought, well, it's a book I want to read myself, so I might as well write it myself. because it's something I want to read. So, and hopefully other people want to read it as well. But yeah, they were. I mean, you read all the books, and there's only ever a couple of lines about the Higsons and the Apollinaires and the Swinging Cats, and they don't tell you anything. So I thought I'd try and get in touch with at least some of the members and try and get the story out there, because it's never really been told before, the stories of those bands.
Well, your obsessive compulsive or disorder certainly works to our benefit, because you drill down to every band member that was involved, even just a session musician. And that leads us to probably the section of the book that everybody I've been talking to who's been reading it always brings this up. They love the section on the Where Are They Now? And of course, we know where Terry Hall is. We know where Dave Wakeling is. We know where Suggs is. But we didn't know where some of these other people are. Was that one of the main drivers behind this, is to, as you said, to the Where Are They Now section?
Yeah, it started off, that was the original intention of the book, because I'd done the first Where Are They Now with my football team. So I wanted to do another one, but as I was going through, I didn't think it would, I wanted some context there. You know, I didn't just want to do a Where Are They Now because I didn't think it'd be very good. I mean, it'd be interesting, but one, it wouldn't be a very big book. And I think without explaining about the bands themselves, I think it would have been missing a lot of context. So sort of 3 or 4 months in, I thought, well, why don't I write about all the bands as well and try and do from day one to present day, rather than just concentrating on the heyday, 1979 to 81, which most books, newspapers, magazines concentrate on. I wanted to do the whole lot, really. So yeah, it was sort of a continuation of the Where Are They Now, but so I sort of put that in as well. I wanted to keep that, because I thought it was something different and a different angle to look at it, really. And it's interesting because, all like you say, we know, Terry Hall, Dave Wakeling, all that lot, they're still performing, but there's a lot of people that were involved that have got no involvement with music whatsoever now.
Well, it seems like the Where Are They Now seem to fall into 3 different categories. People that are still very involved in music, it's the main part of their income. People that dabble for the fun of it, and people who have not picked up an instrument since 1984.
Yeah.
I think that was a little bit of a surprise to me, as to think people actually have lives outside of, I mean, these are my heroes. To see that some of these people have lives outside of music, it's like, no, what are you doing? Get back in the studio. That's where you're supposed to be. 2 names jumped out at me when I was reading the book on the Where Are They Nows. And they've got to be the 2 most frustrating ones for you. And that is Jane Summers from the Body Snatchers and Chris Friedmore of the Apollinaires. Yeah. And those are the only 2 who seem to have vanished.
Yeah, elusive. Yeah, I couldn't find any information whatsoever, which, like you say, frustrating. But I mean, I got all the others.
Oh yeah, you got it. Was you really Sherlock Holmes did up there with on how you track down and show what they were doing. A very interesting, compelling way. Something else the book has that needs to get mentioned is the photographs. I felt like sometimes when I'm reading books on two-tone, it's like looking at books from your own childhood. You've seen the same picture 1,000 times, and suddenly now you've handed me a stack of photos I've not seen before. Some of them I have, but many of them I was like, whoa, okay, that's news to me. Where did you get these pictures?
Well, a lot of them I took myself. The original intention was to have just every photo in the book was I was going to take myself. And I had a load of gigs I was going to go to from like this year. And then obviously COVID happened. So I couldn't take all the photos I was going to take with all the people and all the bands So I had a lot from gigs that I've been to and when I've met certain people. But I just asked people, really, if, go on Facebook and ask people if they've got any photos that they might be willing to contribute. Ask a few, some of the band members themselves if they had any photos. They were the good ones.
How many band members did you get a chance to talk with?
A fair few. I mean, I concentrated on the lesser known ones, really, because we all know what Terry Hall thinks, or Suggs or whoever, but we don't know what all the other bands think after 1982. And I also wanted to speak to like the session musicians that played, you know, such as the saxophone player off 3 Minute Hero, or the violin player with a special AK and stuff like that. I just found it really interesting and
Right.
a unique look at it. You know, we all know what the main ones think, but I thought it'd be good to have a bit of perspective from, you know, them that aren't as well known.
Was there any of the musicians that you contacted that were like totally surprised, like, whoa, somebody remembered me?
Yeah, yeah, quite a few, quite a few. And I mean, the vast majority of people I contacted were brilliant, really helpful. I mean, there were one or two that wasn't, but you know, that doesn't matter. But most of them, yeah. I mean, a lot of them were surprised, but really helpful.
I really like that, because you can tell in some of the, you talked about the saxophone player, and when he talks about it being the highlight of his, looking back, not realizing at the time that that was going to be the highlight of his musical life. That's kind of like just made me smile. It just, you brought back memories to these people that they probably
Yeah, yeah.
hadn't thought about in a while. It's just nice to be remembered and thought well enough of to be included in this phenomenal book, and it is. Tell me a little bit about the only thing that I found kind of got me right here was your dedication. Tell me about the dedication in the book.
Well, I thought, you know, something different. I mean, because now as we're all getting older and everything, that there's people that aren't with us anymore that were involved. People like Rankin Roger, Saxa, John Bradbury. So I thought and as obviously during my research, I found that a few more people that were involved had passed away. So every person who was on the label who was no longer with us is now is on the dedication. I thought it'd be, you know, a bit of a nice touch, something a bit
I think it was a beautiful touch. It was
yeah.
fantastic. And to be included in such a comprehensive book is amazing. Um, you're probably going to get a lot of requests to update it regularly. So get ready to hear that a lot every time you're doing a book signing, because I think you're going to hear that a lot. People are going to expect you to publish every 5 years an update or something. Be ready for that. Most important question I got to ask you right now: where can people buy this book?
Well, you can get it on Amazon, and you can also get it from me, and I can sign them, but there's a bit of a delay with them, which is a bit of a shame. But on Amazon, you can get them on Amazon. You can also get them from me, but there'll be a bit of a delay from me.
And how do they contact you? Through a Facebook page or?
Yeah. I mean, there's a Facebook page set up for the book, and people can find me on Facebook as well if they want to get in touch.
And if by any chance Jane Summers or Chris Friedmore hear this, they should get in touch with you too.
Definitely, yeah. Definitely.
I can't thank you enough, Lee. This has been fabulous reading, and I've learned so much. Friends, I got to strongly recommend. This is one of the holiday books you're going to want to get this year. Got a lot this year. This was a great year for books about ska. It really was. So this is one of the ones you're going to want to pick up on Two Tone. Lee, thank you so much for joining us. Again, I'm Charles Plank from MakeSka.com. Thanks again, Lee.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.